Hello Misfits and welcome! In this video, I want to try and tackle one of the more common problems that DMs have to deal with, and that is attendance issues. So not necessarily scheduling, but how to get your players to stay at your table. Once you've started your game and you've got the ball rolling, great, but now players are calling out or canceling at the last minute, and you're trying to figure out how to get them to stay and be a part of the story. So here are my 3 tips for getting your players to keep coming to your table. And I give this advice with a little bit of experience of my own. Our campaign at the start was super rocky and difficult with scheduling and attendance, and it really took a while for us to figure out what worked for us. So, without further ado, here are 3 ways to keep players coming to your table. Number 1, bait your players. And what I mean by that is you need to reward your players when they are there, or find ways to entice them to keep coming to the table. A lot of times when I am scrolling through Reddit or various social media and reading up on advice groups and things for DMs, a lot of times I will see people saying that you should punish a player for not being there. And I'm sure in some instances and at some tables and for some DMs that works. But I was kind of raised on this idea that you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Personally, to me, the real world is punishing enough, and the last place I want to feel that is from the world I'm escaping into. A lot of times we just don't know what everybody's dealing with in their own personal lives and what they're going through. So adding extra punishments on top of that can be a lot and can be overwhelming. Some players aren't coming to the table because conflicts come up. Some players aren't coming to the table because they're nervous or anxious. Some players aren't coming to the table because they don't think they matter. They don't think they're contributing much to the game. So, by rewarding players when they are there, finding special ways to make them feel special, whether that be a magic item just for them that only they can use, or mysterious visions that only their character sees, or a special power that only they can figure out. Those little nuggets, those little rewards are a way to show that, yes, you care about that player, and yes, you want them at your table, and yes, there's something that they can contribute that nobody else can. A lot of times we play D&D for escapism, and we also do it so that we can experience something outside of what we are personally capable of. Can I personally go out and slay a dragon? No, but my character can, and it makes me feel important that I'm able to accomplish that, even if it's not real. So find ways to reward those players and make them want to come back to your table. Because once they have that special boon that only they have, they're probably going to now feel a little bit more comfortable or a little bit more wanted at your table. And if they're busy, they're going to remember, oh man, I have that special thing at our table that only I have. I need to make sure that I don't miss that next game. They're going to be more likely to plan around it and be there for that. Number 2, and this one I think I've touched on before, but consistency. Make sure that you start your games at the same time every time, and probably even end your games as close to the same time as possible. Just to brag on my group just a little bit, but currently right now my D&D group is a group of 8 people spread across 7 different cities, 4 different states, and 4 different time zones, which is crazy. And because of that, we so heavily rely on a consistent schedule. I make sure that we have a relatively hard cutoff time, and we always start at the same time. So we start at 7 Central every Sunday, and we try to end by 10 p.m. As well. Because 10 p.m. for me might be 11 p.m. for someone else, or 8 p.m. for someone else. It can get kind of crazy. And for the most part, I stick to that pretty diligently. I sort of have a grace period of maybe about 30 minutes. We might end 30 minutes early, might end 30 minutes late, somewhere within there. But if you go through and look at our campaign recordings, I guarantee you that they're all going to be about 2.5 hours long, and they're only going to fluctuate by about 30 minutes. So something to keep in mind. And I think most DMs are giving that advice. It's pretty much the way to go. The only way that somebody's really going to remember something and plan around it is if it's the same time every day, all the time. So stick with that, and that will help out a lot. All right, number 3, and this one might kind of seem a little contradictory to number 1, but number 3, FOMO, okay? FOMO is your best friend. We all know what it is. We all know that fear of missing out, fear of something passing us by and us not being a part of it. This is the Dungeon Master's bread and butter, okay? My game does not stop for anybody, okay? As long as I have 3 people, we're gonna go and we're gonna keep telling the story. And if they aren't there, they miss out, and it's their responsibility to figure out what they missed. Your campaign should be a runaway train that everybody is desperate to hop onto, okay? And because they know that the story or the campaign itself could pass them by if they're not there, they're going to be more desperate to make sure that they are there. Gosh, there's nothing more reassuring than hearing your players say, oh my gosh, I need to reschedule this because I don't want to miss D&D. Or I've had players literally log on to Roll20 mid-game while they are in a car. They weren't driving, somebody else was driving, but while they were in a car, just so they couldn't, so they wouldn't miss it, which is hilarious. So really rely on that FOMO. And even when you get devoted players that are there consistently, you're gonna feel tempted to stop the game or wait until everybody is there. I feel that pressure so much. There are times when I'm like, oh, we'll just cancel and we'll reschedule and everybody can make it. Don't do it. Do not do it, because love our players to death, but they might sort of get a little complacent and feel like, they'll wait for me, and then maybe more than one person will do that. And then it's your whole group and you have to cancel, and you were so prepared and ready, and they let you down without meaning to. So keep going. Don't let it stop. All right? If you build it, they will come. If you tell your story and you keep your story going, they will latch onto it. So, to review, number 1, bait your players. Use rewards, not punishments, okay? Life is punishing enough. Number 2, keep everything super, super consistent. Seriously, it's very important. Adults are busy, and we have our lives and our jobs, and we need to plan around that. And number 3, keep the ball moving. Don't stop. Let inertia and momentum carry your story forward, and have your players sort of desperate to latch onto it and not miss it. So those are 3 ways to keep players coming to your table. And this is with the understandable caveat that what works for my table might not work for everybody's table. But those are some things that I sort of had to learn along the way and figure out what worked. And I really wish that somebody had just told me that at the very start, because we certainly had our scheduling and sort of attendance woes for a while that we had to muddle through. If you don't know who we are, we're Misfit Adventurers. We're a group of 5th edition actual play sort of podcast channel here. And please, if you enjoyed this video or like any of our other content, please consider hitting the like button or subscribing, ring that bell to just say all the token YouTube catchphrases. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time. So unfortunately, no super silly bloopers came out of this one, but if any of you are still listening, can I just say that it is kind of stupid how fast you guys have kind of blown up my channel. I know that it's still super, super small, okay? Like, I know, I understand that. But to see it go from, like, 30 subs to almost 500 over the span of, like, 36 to 48 hours was kind of insane. So I just want to thank you guys so much. That kind of really made my weekend, which was a pretty rough weekend, if I'm being honest. And I appreciate all the comments that I've read so far. You guys seem so nice, and I love hearing about your own games and stuff. And I'll try to make more content and stuff. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, if you have any topics that you want me to cover, put it down in the comments below, and I'll try to get to it. So have a great day, guys, and thanks again, seriously.